So the Flowmaster Outlaw for the 11 to 14 5-liter truck should be for the owners who want to be heard, as this is no doubt one of Flowmaster's most aggressive offerings, in addition to just being one of the most aggressive offerings in the category, period. Now, along with that, the Outlaw will give prospective buyers a couple of different options when it comes to how you want this thing to look, thanks to the included piping. For instance, you do have the option of going with that dual split side exit look, or you could always go with the popular dual split rear exit configuration. Now, along with that pretty serious bark, you can also look forward to 409 grade stainless steel throughout here with the Flowmaster system, in addition to a price point of just south of 800 bucks, putting this thing in the mid-level price range. Now, as far as your installation is concerned, well, depending on your cabin bed size, you might actually encounter the smallest amount of cutting, so I am going to knock this one up to a soft 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, but we will cover that a little bit more later on. But since this is an exhaust after all, let's break down the sound you can expect when Michael bolting this thing up to your 5-liter F150. And as you guys heard with our sound clips, this thing is loud. An easy 5 out of 5 on my 1 to 5 or 1 to wake the neighbors scale. It's always going to be one of your most aggressive offerings in the category, and again, that really hasn't changed here with the 5-liter 11 to 14 trucks. I will also say though, guys, for as much noise as you're getting on the outside, you're still going to hear this thing on the inside pretty well also. So some owners might prefer that. Other owners might just prefer a slightly quieter in-cab experience. If you do take your truck on a lot of family trips, your wife and kids might get a little tired of this thing after a few hundred miles on the road, so just be aware of that before purchasing. On the other hand, if you prefer that iconic Flowmaster tone and you just maybe want a little less volume, check out the Force 2 from Flowmaster instead. You can also find that here on the site if you are interested. So we've established that the Outlaw from Flowmaster is very loud. That's always the biggie when talking about this particular system, but let's break down what else you can expect when checking out this Cat-Back. And I think one of the coolest features here with this system, or any of the Flowmaster Cat-Backs for your F150, is the fact that they're one of the only companies to offer a difference in configuration. And again, what I mean by that is they do include piping to make this thing a dual split rear exit configuration or a dual split side exit. Now, as you might expect, that extra material does add to the price slightly here at the Flowmaster, but not as bad as you might think. Again, right around 800 bucks is what you're going to be looking at for the Flowmaster Outlaw that we have in this video, putting it in line with some of your MagnaFlow stuff and even some of your stainless work stuff as well. Now, in addition to that configurable design, you can also look forward to a pretty solid build overall. And what does that mean to you? Well, the 409 grade stainless steel is kind of a middle of the road material. I like to refer to it as. It's not quite 304 grade stainless steel on the high side, a premium material that tends to be a little bit more expensive, but at the same time, it's not the aluminized steel, which is kind of a value material and tends to corrode quickly depending on your climate. So the 409, again, a great bang for your buck material. It's going to reduce corrosion a fair amount here in those snowier climates, but at the same time, it isn't going to cost you an arm and a leg like that 304. Taking things a step further with the construction, you're going to find mandrel bent tubing throughout, all 3-inch, and again, all 409 grade stainless steel. You will find the incorporated Outlaw Series muffler, this little guy right there. And then finally, everything is going to exit out the twin 4-inch tips that are in black, as you can see right here, guys. And this is one of the specialty items with this particular system. And these tips aren't painted. These are ceramic coated, which is kind of a nice thing to point out because you're not going to have to worry about anything fading or chipping over the years like you would with a painted tip. But talking about the wrenching here with this system, again, I called it 2 out of 3 wrenches at the very top of this video because some owners might encounter a little bit of cutting depending on your cabin bed size, anywhere from an hour or two before you're making some loud noises here once you get this puppy installed. My suggestion to you, and pretty much for any part that you install for your F150, check out those detailed instructions included from Flowmaster. They lay out very clearly if and where you need to cut. So not a bad idea to blow the dust off the Sawzall, get yourself some fresh metal blades and some eye protection, and have it prepared just in case. In addition to that Sawzall, basic socket set will be doing most of your work, in addition to a couple of open-ended wrenches, not a bad idea to have on hand, and of course some penetrating oil. Let's face it, these trucks aren't exactly new anymore, and depending on where you live, some bolts might be pretty rusty, so grab some PB Blast, WD-40, whatever you have on hand to help you with some of those bolts in addition to those rubber hangers. Now, your first step in any exhaust installation is to remove the factory system, right? So go ahead and grab your penetrating oil, grab your socket set, loosen up those clamps, and get that stocker out of the way. With the factory system out of the way, now you can get to work installing the new Flowmaster. But first and foremost, guys, make sure if and where you need to cut, grab those instructions. And if you do, just grab that Sawzall we talked about a little bit earlier. A vise will certainly help you make that cut. And just take your time, measure twice, cut once, you guys know the deal. Now once you've made your cut, or if you don't have to cut, you can start the physical installation of your Flowmaster. The general rule of thumb is here, start from front to back, get all the piping, hangers, hardware installed, but don't over tighten everything yet. You want to snug things up, but give yourself enough play here with the piping and stuff just to check for clearance issues and get those tips aligned exactly where you want them. Once you do have everything situated, go ahead and torque down those clamps and your installation is complete. Now, while we're on the topic of installation, I do want to mention that if you wanted to change up the look of your system going from a split side to a split rear exit, for instance, it's a very easy task and one that can be done with a few basic hand tools, as you really only have to remove one clamp towards the rear of the system, switch out the included piping that Flowmaster gives you, tighten everything back up, and that's it. It really shouldn't take you any more than a few minutes, and you don't have to drop the system to do this. If you're looking for a system that will provide plenty of volume along with a few different options when it comes to your look, you'll want to check out the Flowmaster Outlaw right here at AmericanTrucks.com.